Now, the atomic power plant, whose destruction caused the worst nuclear crisis since Chernobyl, has been opened up to the media. Japan hopes it'll show that things are now under control at the Fukushima plant, which was crippled after this year's earthquake and tsunami. Let's take a look at what the timeline of that. It happened on March the 11th, with core reactor number 1 suffering a meltdown the next day. Now, a few days later, on March the 19th, radiation exceeding legal limits was detected in milk and vegetables in the surrounding Fukushima area. By the 23rd, officials had warned against babies drinking tap water in Tokyo. Well, that is 225 kilometers away from the plant, although levels did quickly return to normal. By April, radiation in beef was higher than regulations allowed. The transport of beef from the area was banned by July. And at the end of last month, it was revealed the Fukushima plant released twice as much radioactivity into the atmosphere than initially thought. Here's what workers at the Fukushima plant have been saying.
I wanted to be a part of helping the disaster's victims so that they could regain their livelihoods without further delay.
The working environment has definitely improved. I'm not too worried about exposure to radiation because this facility is prepared with the right medical facilities to support the workers.
Well, Imad Khadduri is a nuclear scientist who's visited the Fukushima plant and joins me now live in the studio. Good to have you with us. That media visit to Fukushima still clearly quite dangerous because they were wearing all the equipment and they had to have radiation scans after they came out. What do you make of the situation there now?
Yes, they went around in a bus and they looked around. They didn't go inside the building itself. What one can say in this accident is that until now there's not a single death caused by radiation from the blowout of these 3 or 4 reactors. This is quite significant. And even if you compare that with the Chernobyl accident, although 47 people and firemen and workers died in the immediate aftermath of the reactor exploding at Chernobyl, but until now, 25 years later, there's only been 10 reported deaths due to thyroid cancer. So the incidence, the fatality incidence in both these cases should be noted. It should not be over inflated in a sense and build up fear.
TEPCO has now said that it expects to achieve cold shutdown of the reactors by the end of the year. What does that mean?
They said this since March. They said we will be achieving cold shutdown by January 2012. What that means is that the temperatures of the fuel rods in the reactors and in the swimming pools will have decreased to be below the boiling point of water. So water will stay there to cool them. And that will be reached in 2 months. So they're really on target. They said that 6 months ago, 7 months ago, and they are going to actually achieve that. That's quite remarkable.
It's going to take decades more to remove the nuclear fuel, to decommission those plants, and maybe even longer before people can move back into the area.
It will take about 30 years to actually get rid of all the debris and the contaminated areas and the cleanup. But the return of the people to the area, the 20 kilometer zone, will take much less than that, maybe 5 years, 10 years, because the radioactivity would have died then by that time. The same happened with Chernobyl. Now people are slowly going back to the areas, slowly.
I mean, you said earlier that there'd been no deaths because of the radiation leak, and we should give credit for that. But the Fukushima disaster has seriously dented people's confidence, particularly in Japan, in the nuclear industry. Do you think Japan can come back from that?
Yes, I think they'll come back. What happened in Fukushima was really a very freak accident. That tsunami wave that came and inundated the backup cooling systems, they have a dam 6 meters, but the wave was 15 meters. So it went over the dam and it stopped the backup diesel plants. However, there's another Fukushima, 12 kilometers to the south of Fukushima 1. It's called Fukushima 2. And they also had a 6-meter dam. And they had the same wave, 15 meters. However, the backup emergency diesel generators were at a higher level than what the tsunami wave could reach. Therefore, there was no accident there. It was a very freak accident, this one. This could only lead to much better designed reactors. But I don't think Japan can, with its need for energy, to dispense completely without nuclear energy.
Good to talk with you. Thank you very much indeed for that. Dr Imad Khadduri there.